While most superstar athletes treat their hometowns as places to escape from, Terence Crawford looked at his map and saw a monopoly board waiting to be conquered. Instead of fleeing to the Hollywood Hills or Manhattan penthouses after becoming the undisputed king of 2 weight classes, he planted his flag right in the middle of the country. Living in the same zip code as Warren Buffett proves that the smartest money in the world prefers quiet Nebraska cornfields to the noise of the coasts because real wealth doesn't need an audience. Today, we are opening the gates to the Crawford compound, a sprawling estate that serves as headquarters for arguably the greatest fighter of this generation. We will explore the garage filled with restored American muscle, the private water where he trains his mind through fishing, and the financial logic that makes staying in Omaha more profitable than earning double the paychecks elsewhere. You'll see why the most dangerous man on the planet finds peace in the quietest place on Earth. Why would a global icon choose a flyover state when the entire planet is an option? For Terence "Bud" Crawford, remaining in Omaha wasn't sentimental loyalty, but a calculated strategic advantage. Staying in a smaller market turned him into the undisputed king of the city, rather than just another celebrity swimming in a sea of famous faces in Los Angeles. Control over the narrative, the local economy, and the streets he grew up on comes without the distractions of a 24-hour party cycle. He chose dominance over validation, because being a big fish in a small pond offers total control. When you approach the Crawford estate, you won't find the glass and steel modernism typical of Beverly Hills, but rather acres of land secured by heavy gates screaming, "private property." Privacy in Nebraska isn't defined by high walls so much as distance, and Crawford purchased enough acreage to ensure no paparazzi lens can ever reach his front door. Security here is personal, often managed by people he has known his entire life, which creates a protective bubble virtually impenetrable to outsiders. Distance is the ultimate luxury, and he bought space to breathe. One specific area inside the home is dedicated to a feat no other male boxer in the four-belt era has ever achieved, which is becoming undisputed champion in 2 weight classes. Unlike fighters who scatter belts around the house like coasters, Crawford displays them with a museum-like precision that reflects the discipline required to earn them. These aren't just accessories, but historical artifacts representing decades of sweat, placed in a room serving as a constant reminder of who runs the game. History sits on these shelves. The kitchen serves as the heart of the home, yet it operates in 2 very different modes depending on the calendar. During the off-season, the air hangs thick with the smell of soul food, fried catfish, and family recipes passed down through generations to keep him grounded in his culture. That changes the moment camp starts, transforming the room into a clinical laboratory where a private chef weighs every ounce of protein to ensure he makes weight with terrifying precision. Discipline tastes bland, but victory tastes sweet, and you are what you eat. If you walk into the recreation room expecting relaxation, you'll instead find the scariest man in boxing screaming over a ping pong table. Obsession with table tennis and wrestling means he brings the same kill or be killed intensity to a friendly game that he displays in the ring. This isn't just leisure, but a mental outlet allowing him to channel aggression safely, proving that the need to win doesn't turn off just because the gloves are off. Losing at anything is unacceptable, so even paddles get punished. Behind the massive garage doors, you won't see the standard-issue Lamborghinis, but rather a pristine fleet of American muscle featuring restored Chevy Caprices and Impalas sitting on massive rims. Valuing heavy metal and custom paint jobs over European luxury serves as a direct nod to the street culture he came from. Hundreds of thousands go into these builds, turning vintage metal into rolling trophies that command more respect in the neighborhood than a Ferrari ever could. Culture rides on chrome, and he drives his history. Tucked away in the fleet sits a customized van that tells the story of his early promotional hustle, used to shuttle his team and hype up local fights around Omaha. Before the millions rolled in, this vehicle acted as a mobile billboard. Retention of the van isn't about its negligible Blue Book value, but rather the reminder of the grind it took to sell tickets when nobody knew his name. Never forget the hustle, because it is a monument to ambition. The crown jewel of this lifestyle isn't inside the house at all, but access to private fishing waters where he spends hours in absolute silence. Fishing serves as his form of meditation, teaching the patience and reactive timing that makes him a counterpunching genius. While other fighters are out clubbing, Crawford sits by the water watching a bobber to train his mind to wait for the perfect moment to strike. Stillness creates speed, and the fish teach him patience. As an avid outdoorsman, his home reflects a deep passion for nature, with a space dedicated to hunting expeditions filled with gear and trophies from the wild. Connecting to a primal side of his personality, this hunter-gatherer instinct translates seamlessly to his predatory style in the boxing ring. It separates him from pretty boy boxers afraid to get their hands dirty because Bud is comfortable in the mud, in the woods, and in the trenches. Predator is a lifestyle, whether on land or in the ring. A professional-grade kennel facility lies behind the main residence, housing specific breeds of dogs that he loves and breeds himself. This goes beyond having pets to appreciating the loyalty, strength, and protective instincts of working dogs that mirror his own temperament. Caring for them personally provides a simple, non-transactional joy in the bond between man and beast that the business of boxing rarely offers. Dogs don't care about belts, and loyalty is bred here. While most champions rent a gym for training camp, Terence Crawford built his own institution. The B&B Boxing Academy is a $1 million nonprofit community center located right in the heart of the neighborhood he grew up in, rather than just a place to hit bags. Buying the building ensured that the next generation of Omaha kids has a sanctuary from the streets, proving his legacy is measured in lives saved rather than just belts won. He didn't just escape the hood, he reinvested in it because ownership beats sponsorship. Other boxers often blow their millions on depreciating assets like jewelry and parties, but Crawford has quietly become one of the biggest landlords in Omaha. Owning over 40 residential properties, 6 apartment complexes, and multiple commercial storefronts effectively means he owns entire city blocks. This applies the monopoly strategy to real life by buying small houses, upgrading them, and collecting rent while the property value appreciates. He fights for purses, but lives off the equity, and brick and mortar never slumps. The financial genius of staying in Nebraska comes down to the fact that $1 million in Omaha goes 10 times further than it does in Los Angeles. A sprawling estate that would cost $50 million in Beverly Hills costs a fraction of that in the Midwest, which means he keeps more hard-earned cash in his pocket instead of handing it to agents and tax collectors. Understanding that it's not about how much you make, but how much you keep allows him to live like a billionaire on a millionaire's budget. Math wins fights too. A random entourage of hangers-on is nowhere to be found at the compound, as his circle remains impenetrable and consists exclusively of day ones. His trainer, Bomac, and his core team have been with him since he fought for free in amateurs, creating a level of trust money simply cannot buy. Realizing early that new friends usually come with new invoices, he keeps the gate locked to anyone who wasn't there when he was starving. Loyalty is the only currency accepted here, and no new applications are taken. Heavy gold hangs around his neck, but don't mistake him for a reckless spender because he views his watch collection as a diversified investment portfolio. Blue-chip timepieces like Patek Philippe and Audemars Piguet historically appreciate in value faster than the stock market. Dropping 6 figures on a piece doesn't mean losing money, it means parking it on his wrist in a liquid asset he can sell for a profit later. It's not bling, it's wearable banking, and that is flash with a plan. Buying a house for his mother, Debbie, was one of the first checks he wrote after turning pro, prioritizing her over a Ferrari. Despite a relationship famously complicated and full of tough love, securing the family foundation before building his own empire sent a clear message. Generational wealth starts by taking care of the generation that raised you regardless of personal friction, so you secure the matriarch first. Family business is handled. Deep inside the compound, a recovery center rivals professional NFL facilities, mixing old-school grit like dungeon-like weight rooms with new-school science featuring hyperbaric chambers. At age 36, he understands his body is a depreciating asset, requiring expensive maintenance to keep performing at an elite level. Spending money on his body allows his body to keep making money because longevity is an investment. A specific room equipped with massive screens allows Crawford to turn into a film study obsessive. Watching opponents with the scrutiny of a forensic scientist involves breaking down habits, breathing patterns, and twitches until he downloads their entire operating system into his brain. The fight is actually won here, making the physical knockout in the ring just the execution of the plan built in this chair. Studying continues until he can't lose, because knowledge is violence. We are halfway through the tour of the Crawford compound, and if you respect a champion who values loyalty to his hometown over the fake lights of Hollywood, you need to subscribe right now. Breaking down the smartest financial moves in sports happens here every single week, so join the team that values legacy over hype. Now, let's head out to the neighborhood to see how one man changed the entire economy of a city block. Most celebrities raise property values by simply moving in, but Terence Crawford raised the safety standards. His presence acts as a stabilizing force because he didn't put up walls to keep the community out, but bought the block to bring the community up. Locals knowing that Bud is watching creates an unwritten respect that curbs trouble faster than a police patrol ever could. He isn't just a neighbor, he is the neighborhood watch, and respect is the best security system. Camera crews are absent when he hands out thousands of turkeys on Thanksgiving or backpacks in August. Unlike Instagram philanthropists needing a receipt for every good deed, Crawford operates in the shadows to help families he grew up with because he remembers being the kid who needed help. Impact is measured by the smiles on the faces of North Omaha rather than likes on a social media post. Generosity doesn't need a hashtag when you give to give. The difference becomes startling when you contrast Crawford's lifestyle with the jets of Floyd Mayweather or the parties of Errol Spence. Peers are competing to see who can spend money the fastest, while Crawford competes to see who can live the longest. Realizing the money team lifestyle often leads to a broke retirement made him choose the Omaha team path toward generational security. Being rich is loud, but being wealthy is quiet, so he builds assets instead of debts. Functional, sturdy, and devoid of unnecessary frills, the home's design reflects the blue-collar soul of the city that made him. Gold toilets and diamond-encrusted chandeliers are missing here because everything has a purpose mirroring the corn-fed work ethic of Nebraska, where you are judged by output, not outfit. This house was built for living rather than showing off to people you don't like. Substance over style always. A sneaker collection rivaling a Foot Locker sits in the closet, but looking closer reveals the wrestling shoes tucked among the rare Jordans. Valuing performance over hype means keeping pristine pairs next to the worn-out boots he trains in. While he enjoys the rewards of his labor, the tools that got him there are never forgotten. You can buy the shoes, but you can't buy the footwork. A dedicated mat space in the home acknowledges his secret weapon, which is wrestling. Coming from a wrestling family where his sons are nationally ranked, he credits this grappling background for his superhuman balance and strength on the inside. Other boxers panic in the clinch, but Bud is comfortable because childhood was spent on the mat, not just in the ring. He is a fighter first and a boxer second because grappling builds different muscles. When a fight is signed, the fun stops and the house transforms into a high-altitude prison even at sea level. Implementing a strict lockdown protocol means the family knows Dad is gone and the hunter has arrived. Fun amenities like fishing gear and the game room become off-limits to create a psychological switch, turning sanctuary into a soldier's barracks. Comfort is the enemy of greatness, so he suffers in his own home. Young killers like Shakur Stevenson frequently occupy the guest wing, coming to Omaha to soak up wisdom from the master. Crawford runs his home like a dojo to pass down secrets of the game to the next generation without charging a consulting fee. Understanding that legacy isn't just his record, but the champions he helps build after he's gone, drives this mentorship. Iron sharpens iron, and he is building a lineage. You might see the undisputed champion out there with a tool belt if a pipe bursts or a fence needs fixing. Refusing to call a contractor for jobs he can do himself is a trait instilled by his hard-nosed upbringing. It keeps him grounded, reminding him that despite the millions, he remains a man who knows how to work with his hands. Call him a handyman with a deadly jab, because DIY keeps you humble. A full MTV Cribs-style tour of this house doesn't exist for a reason, as Crawford aggressively protects the sanctity of his private life. Letting the world into your bedroom means losing the one place where you can truly be yourself. Cameras stop at the gate so his children grow up in a home rather than a content studio. Privacy is power, and what you don't see, you can't ruin. Managing 7 children means Crawford isn't running a bachelor pad, but a logistics center. He handles the household with the same organizational skills used in the ring to ensure that everyone has what they need to succeed despite the chaos. Working to be present for all of them reinforces that his most important title isn't undisputed champion, but dad. It's not just a house, it's a village, and fatherhood is his toughest fight. Matriarchs like his mother Debbie and his grandmother dominate the spirit of the house and keep his ego in check. His mother famously paid bullies to fight him as a child to toughen him up, and that tough love energy still permeates the walls. Walking around like a celebrity isn't an option when the women who changed his diapers are sitting on the couch, reminding him he's still just Bud. You can't be arrogant around Mom, because she keeps the king humble. Panic often sets in when fighters retire, but Crawford is retiring to a plan. A construction and development company based out of Omaha is already established, preparing his transition from destroying bodies to building structures. The compound serves as headquarters for this second career where blueprints are reviewed with the same intensity used to review fight tape. Being the developer who owns the club beats being the ex-boxer at the club. The gloves come off and the hard hat goes on. Recent trips to Africa have heavily influenced the aesthetic and energy of the home by introducing art and cultural artifacts connecting him to his ancestry. Feeling a spiritual shift after visiting Ghana and Rwanda led him to bring that grounded energy back to Nebraska. It serves as a reminder that his kingdom extends beyond U.S. borders, making his home a reflection of a man who found his identity on the other side of the world. Roots run deep here. Disconnecting from the modern grid is when he feels most comfortable. Love for fishing, hunting, and the outdoors acts as a rejection of the soft, manicured life of celebrity rather than just a hobby. Silence in the woods is preferable to the noise of a red carpet because nature doesn't care about money. It keeps him sharp, primal, and dangerous in a way city living simply cannot. The wild respects no title. Physical security exists, but his true protection in Omaha comes from the invisible force of his reputation. From the mayor to the street guys, everyone knows the Crawford estate is off limits. Hiring a bodyguard can't provide the level of respect earned by decades of being a stand-up guy who never turned his back on his people. Messing with Bud is a violation of the city code in Omaha, and his reputation serves as the fence. Staying in Omaha turned him into a mythical figure in a way impossible in a major market. He would be just another athlete in New York. But here he is, the king. Sitting courtside at Creighton games and leading parades means owning the city's heart. Trading the anonymity of a big city for the absolute adoration of a smaller one proves it is better to be a king in your castle than a prince in someone else's palace. He rules his hometown. We haven't just seen the most impressive mansion, but arguably the smartest. It represents a man who refused to play by everyone else's rules, saving millions by ignoring the pressure to move to the coast and building a fortress protecting his peace, family, and bank account. Winning the game of life meant staying exactly where he started. Terence Crawford didn't just beat every opponent in the ring, he beat the system designed to drain athletes of their wealth. Staying home and keeping his circle tight built a life that will last long after the final bell rings. He proved that you don't need Hollywood to be a star, you just need to shine where you are. But while Crawford played it safe in Nebraska, Canelo Alvarez took a different approach, building a ranch in Guadalajara that includes a replica of his childhood home and a stable for his dancing horses. It is a completely different kind of flex. Click this video to see how the Mexican king spends his millions. And that's it from us today. Until next time, thank you for watching.